Poor quality, ooh, that's loud, is a succession of missed opportunities. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities. A while back, I was consulting with a startup that had two co-founders, and they had some concerns about the quality, and they reached out and was like, hey, can we just talk to you about this? And so I sat down with one of the co-founders. During the call, he had some very strong sentiments. And he said, I'm baffled as to why we are experiencing these quality issues. We have a developer and we're working through, building out new features, but it feels like we're plagued with recurring issues. Now, baffled and plagued sounds pretty extreme. I mean, I get it. Developers have their flaws, whether they know it or not. They do have them. But baffled and plagued seem like a pretty strong sentiment, no? So we continued in the conversation, and we're just kind of talking through what they're experiencing. And he's saying that the developer delivers, and they do bug fixes, and then they come back and deliver again, and old bugs come up that they have to work on. Again, he's baffled by this. We know that quality is not linear. We know that, there's return. We have to work through the problems. I get that. But he really strongly he was genuinely confused by these issues. And he's just like, I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not sure why we continue to be plagued by these issues. And so as further discussion continues, I'm digging into just the developer, like what's the problem with the developer? Because clearly the developer is the problem. And so we're just kind of going on the conversation, and the punchline finally comes up, because there is one. His confusion, the fact that he's baffled, the fact that they're plagued, all of those sentiments were because the developer was the co-founder. It was the co-founder. There were two of them. They didn't hire a developer. There were two co-founders in this startup, and one of them was the developer. Okay, no wonder you're baffled. No wonder you're plagued, you feel plagued. The two co-founders were not aligned on the business requirements. And it turns out that, they were functional issues, and it was more of a misunderstanding. And they would have conversations like, I thought you said, or didn't we agree? I thought you meant this. They were not aligned on the requirements, the expectations. They didn't think, because there's two of them, that they needed to have requirements even written down, that they needed wireframes or workflows or understand the customer. They didn't think they had to fall in with the process. Again, the conversations like, I don't recall this, kept surfacing. And so that other co-founder who was not in the code was, I'm baffled. Why does this happen when you're the person who has the idea? They were missing opportunities to start and end on the same conversation. They were missing opportunities to lead with quality through their process, through strategy, through standards. They were missing all of those opportunities because poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities. And those opportunities are everywhere. Oh, out of sync. Those opportunities are everywhere, but sorry, slides got out of sync for me. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a secret, because that's what the slide says I'm supposed to do. So I'm gonna tell you a secret. Early on in my career, I used to run from those opportunities. Those opportunities are in your career, right? And I used to run from them. Run from negative experiences. Run from negative interactions with leadership or teams or projects. I was so focused on the negative that I was missing the opportunity to learn from them. And it wasn't until later in my career that I realized that with each organization that I had left, I had walked away with these negative learnings. And they weren't so much learnings as they were baggage. And we talk about that, right? Like, don't take your baggage with you, but if you flew here, I'm hoping you took baggage. I did. If you go to the beach, you take baggage. It's all about what you put in that baggage. You go to the beach, you're gonna bring some towels, hopefully. You're gonna bring some sunscreen, maybe a good book to read, some snacks for the kiddos, because you know, if you know, you know, right? What you wouldn't put in that baggage maybe is a parka, a ski mask, unless maybe you're gonna hold people up at the beach, but whatever, hey, listen. But I realized, as I started to think about that I was grappling with these negative learnings in my career. And I started to question my own value in the organization. Do they value me? Should they value me? Should I speak up? Do I know what I'm talking about? Is it even my place? Have any of you ever felt like that? Have any of you ever felt like that because of your role in quality? Because quality wasn't valued, respected in the organization? So I began to realize that my framing wasn't beneficial. The imposter monster was sitting on my shoulder, telling me all these things about why my role and my value was not good. Why I wasn't valued in an organization. So I took a step back. Looked at this job, and began to ask myself questions. How did I help at this job? What am I proud of at this job? What did I improve at this job? How did I lead with quality? And the light bulb turned on. What I realized was that with each organization I had joined, I had actually learned lessons. I didn't have to sit with these negative learnings, so instead I had learned lessons that I could carry with me, and I now call them my quality mantras. Socialize the value of quality. Come to the table, lean in on relationships and communication. Grace and patience, give it and receive it. Scale down to scale up. There's such a big story behind that one. Say hard truths with a smile. We, as a quality community, need to say hard truths, but you can do it with a smile. And my mantras have been mostly action-based. They've been actions that I've taken to help me drive, develop, and define a culture of quality. However, at one organization, I surfaced a new mantra. It was more motivational. It was interesting challenges with massive opportunities. You see, at this organization, they were a bit of a rocket ship. They had an amazing funding story to the tune of $3.4 billion. And they were an industry disruptor. But when you give a startup $3.4 billion, a billion with a B, and then tell them to scale faster than possible, it's gonna be chaotic. Oh, and it was. They didn't have to figure it out. They didn't have to make strategic bets. Don't you love it when we talk about those during OKRs? Strategic bets. They didn't have to figure out where to place a lean team. They said, hey, we're just gonna do it. And they did. Every project, every hire, every tool, they just went. And they went in all different directions. All of those directions surface silos in their process, in their strategy, in their communication, everything. And those silos presented as chaos. It was chaos. It surfaced different mental models, different languages, different structure, different strategy. They were not speaking to each other. And they began to identify that they were leaking money a little too late. It was chaos. Chaos is literally kryptonite to quality. Quality, a culture of quality, needs to be defined, developed, and driven. It needs to be cultivated. It needs standards, processes, and policies to flourish. And the reality is that many organizations have their own version of chaos-laced kryptonite. They're chasing after their goals, their aspirations, rightfully so. But they're struggling with the balance of innovation and quality. They struggle oftentimes to develop in a way that is not in silos. They're developing, the developers are saying, hey, listen, I just want to get this done. If I could just move this out of the way, if I could clear the space, I could be great. You know those developers? I know I do. I mean, I'm not here to bash developers, they're cool. I was one. And I also know I could be great if I could just get some things out of the way. But that developing in silence, that clearing of space, move the way I need to move just to finish this thing that I'm being driven to do, it all translates to silos. And navigating around that structure and process, things that drive quality. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities. The idea that a process can create consistency that results in quality, it's not common knowledge. The idea that a process creates consistency that results in quality is just not common knowledge. A state of testing report indicates that 66% of quality teams find it difficult to understand the product before development begins. 61% struggle to still communicate the value of testing. And 70% still struggle to get involved or shift left to provide more value. This is still happening. Organizations, teams, people don't always recognize the value or the impact of process on quality. They struggle to see that when you have a process, you create that consistency. You create it, and it results in continuity that produces quality. And I believe it's because quality has been put in a box. The industry has combined the conversation of quality assurance and testing so much that we failed to assure quality outside of the testing function in quality assurance. So if chaos is our kryptonite, process is our sun. It makes us stronger. It enables us to lead with quality, lead beyond that test step. Process is often perceived as a death sentence for a lot of teams. They're like, I want autonomy. I don't want anybody telling me how to do things, where, when, none of that. But it's also a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity to lead with quality. It's a missed opportunity to pave a path for quality across the organization. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities. And we have an opportunity to leverage our unique perspective that allows us to look across the organization, to look across and identify opportunities to improve quality. We can influence the culture of quality. We do not have to just test for it. I've seen firsthand the larger impact that quality teams can have if they choose to look for these opportunities, if we choose to just stand in the gaps, if we choose to look around and say, how can I help? Quality is not just the test step, it's an idea, it's a mindset, it is a culture. And we're the champions of that. And we are responsible as champions for cultivating it. We can't allow their lower expectations to put us in a box. That becomes a vicious cycle if we do. I had a coaching client that I was working with, and he was trying desperately to figure out how to get his organization to value the voice of quality. He had concerns about how the process was improving quality. He had concerns about the negligence. He had concerns about people moving in silos, making decisions, and making choices without the consideration of the impact on the product, on the customer, ultimately on the revenue. But he wasn't sure how to navigate it. He wasn't sure how to get them to listen. And he felt that any time that he raised concerns, he was dismissed. He was told to stay in his little box. Stay there. The team was missing the opportunity to have quality in the conversation, to have quality at the table, to understand the value and opportunity that we provide when we're in the conversation. They were missing these opportunities to leverage our unique perspective and our way to turn the box on the problems or the ideas, the problems that we have or the ideas that we want to push out there to solve for our customers. We have a unique perspective on that. Because we're looking across the business, we're looking across our application. We're considering so many different angles. Not having us in the conversation is like cooking without seasonings, and I'm sorry if you do that. Oh, baby, call me. But it's like cooking without seasonings. I'd even dare say it's like cooking without a recipe. Furthermore, that lack of engagement, it's major hits to the quality team because we begin to disengage. We don't feel valued. We shrink our voice. We don't show up. The result is a quality team that only shows up when there's a ticket in the test column, and that is a shame. And that vicious cycle, it continues. As engineering leaders perceive value of quality, diminishes further. That low perceived value marginalizes quality into a single test step. There's that box. Sit in that box. Marginalizes us into that single test step. Then quality is like, well, I mean, I guess if this is all you need, I guess I'll just sit here. And then they don't come and ask us for support or get our input on key and strategic initiatives. Well, I guess if it's all you need, I'll sit right here. I'll do that. And then leadership doesn't see us involved in key and strategic things, and guess what? They don't come back and ask us again. It's a vicious cycle, and it continues and continues. And what's worse is it affects new testers. A report not too long ago stated that 65% of testers learn testing on the job. Guess what they're learning? That vicious cycle. They're learning leadership's low expectations, and they're seeing from us and others in the room and in their space that low expectation, and that they have a box that they need to sit in. And they're sitting in it because that's what's been told of them. That's what they've been told is expected. And as we talked about, that is a boxed-in view that fails to tap into the full potential and myriad of opportunities that we can uniquely provide. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities, and they are everywhere. So today, I want to talk to you about a few of the strategies I use to help me to define, develop, and drive a culture of quality beyond that test step. First up, we just need to claim the missed opportunities. I know that sounds so silly, right? Like, claim them. We need to take ownership and then take action. Opportunities are everywhere. We simply need to look for them. A culture of quality means that the quality strategy extends beyond the test step. It's more than just that one step in the delivery life cycle. Testing kind of becomes icing on the cake when you look for those missed opportunities. When you're looking for how to improve quality in the nooks and crannies of the business because quality opportunities are everywhere. And as a quality leader, every organization that I've come into struggles with this. They struggle in areas that they don't even realize actually impact quality. They don't realize that their mental models or their common language, whether it's common or not, is impacting quality. They don't realize that their business structure has an impact on quality or that their onboarding is potentially impacting quality. The quality team is uniquely positioned to surface gaps or poor performance in the process, I'm just going to keep saying that, documentation, and so much more. We just have to be willing to look for those opportunities and then take action to claim them. Most recently, an org I'm working with was struggling with consistency in just about everything. Process, delivery, documentation, collaboration, communication, just all of it. The teams had a poor understanding of the business structure. So, and it was a decent-sized team, so to have that poor understanding is very limiting. They weren't using common language to describe the business. They weren't using common mental models, and it created confusion. Because one person would say one thing, or maybe they'd get alignment in a conversation because somebody else was confused in the conversation. Now this person thinks what that person said, but the person that they spoke to the other day that explained it, or that they were talking to and explained it to them, has a completely different view, and that was happening all over the place. All over the place. So during that time, I was partnering with the VP, and we were working on the design of a quality team. We were trying to figure out how a lean, underfunded, quality team would be positioned in this organization. And so we're talking through, and he begins to make up new categories. He's like, well, if we put this group together and this group together as a mental model, not actually doing it, so that the quality person can serve that team or this concept, then we should be good. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. But stuff like that is happening constantly, especially when it comes to figuring out how quality is going to support an organization. There's the, well, if we jimmy this in this way, or, if we MacGyver quality, I'm dating myself, I'm sure, but go look it up, don't. But if we just make it work, if we could just make quality work, which oftentimes results in us being stressed, oversourced, and unable to actually support quality in an effective way. But we all know that. And it happens frequently, right? And then teams struggle with these mental models because they don't understand. And the bigger the organization, the worse this is. The worse it is. But teams are being driven to move so quickly that they're creating additional quality issues because they're forced to solve these just-in-time problems, but they actually don't do the work to resolve the friction because they don't have time. And that fast-moving pace is, I get it, it's all with the effort and desire to be first in market, to be best in class, and that's a valid aspiration. However, what happens when the pace of innovation overtakes quality? Quality in our product, quality in our delivery, quality in our onboarding. Poor onboarding negatively impacts teams, organizations, and individual success. A McKinsey report emphasized the vital role of collaboration in product in producing high quality. And they said inadequate onboarding can impede new developers from effectively integrating into their teams, decreasing collaboration and potentially leading to miscommunications and misunderstandings and a lower quality of work. Sounds like chaos. And I'd like to add another report that Wong and Body wrote a paper on, stating that the impact of team relationships on software quality. And in that paper, these researchers indicated that trust is a central element of a successful team. And that without trust, in the team, teamwork will be negatively affected, resulting in project failure and poor quality. Poor onboarding negatively impacts team success, breaks trust, solves a vicious cycle, and leads to poor quality. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities everywhere. We just have to look for them. One team I worked with had an amazing onboarding experience, actually. It was a week long, and it was a ton of fun. They played Jeopardy at the end as a kind of a did you pass type thing, but they made it fun. It was a complete deep dive into the product. However, after the first week, that onboarding was done. They went to their teams and they were thrown into the fire, and we were hoping that they were flame retardant. There was no other onboarding available. And what we realized is that as the company went remote, we became a remote-first company, that we started to see a decline in that. Because you had less people that you didn't have a turn to your neighbor that you could even have that conversation with. But we started to see a decline in the quality team, in their knowledge. We started to see more incidents come up. We started to see more bugs leaked. And that wasn't just the quality team missing them, that was all through delivery, right? We were missing these opportunities. And so, as the team grew, we decided we needed to improve our onboarding. We had an opportunity to improve our onboarding and to elevate the knowledge of the quality team. And we identified that if we did not take action, we would trigger the vicious cycle. We noted that quality was being pulled in less. They weren't being engaged. They weren't seen as the SMEs because our knowledge was declining, because our onboarding was not sufficient. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities. So we decided we needed to level up our onboarding. We needed to improve the building of the quality champions that we were sending out into the organization, because they were also going to improve the onboarding experience for the developers that were coming into the organization. But we also wanted to create a model for others to use. We didn't want to miss an opportunity to improve the quality of in-team onboarding outside of quality, because it was going to impact us. Regardless, it was going to impact the thing that we were champions for, quality, if they didn't have a better experience. Opportunities to infuse and lead with quality are everywhere. We just need to acknowledge them and then take action to claim them. Another area that we can miss opportunities to claim and improve quality, is when quality rolls up to engineers. Don't throw any apples at me. I get it, it happens, and it's cool. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there are opportunities that we miss if we're not looking for them, if we're not open to them. When quality doesn't report to that up to a formal leadership, quality leadership that's focused on driving quality forward, there's some missed opportunities, and I'm sure that some of you have been in the experience where it's like, yeah, there are missed career opportunities. There are missed opportunities. So without the intention and reporting structure and being able to surface those silos for quality members, there are going to be missed opportunities. There has to be intention to bring quality together in those environments. And this is exactly what was happening in another org I worked with. It was the lack of intention, excuse me. There were about 40 quality team members spread across the organization. And they had never met each other until I brought them together. Some of them didn't even know so many other quality team members existed. And this was a range. This was manual testers, SDETs, architects, QA automation, like the titles were all over the place. It was siloed. Quality was siloed within silos. And it was made worse by their poor onboarding experience. The company had a poor onboarding experience, the teams had a poor onboarding experience, and quality had no onboarding experience. They were given just enough to get them up to speed and then thrown into the fire. Yet again, hope you're flame retardant. The onboarding missed the opportunity to create strategic thinkers across the business, but it especially missed the opportunity to bring quality people together. In fact, there was a QA manager, the onboarding was so poor that there was a QA manager that didn't even know that his area was impacting, or his area of the business was impacting other areas or other product areas of the business. He was leading the enterprise solutions, and he had a key enterprise system that was failing. And it was failing in front of the customer. It was a customer-facing issue, and he had no idea. Because his onboarding was a silo. His onboarding was just enough to get him in to start doing this work. And he began teaching his team this as well. And so he spoke up and said, oh, no, you guys are working over there. I don't have this, like I'm not, like I don't have these problems or anything like that. And I was just kind of shocked because I was like, well, actually, this system right here is losing the company a significant amount of money, and the growth team is actually pretty pissed off about it. You didn't hear about that? I was nicer than that, but. Other team members chimed in and said that they had no idea how the company spoke about their business unit. They referred to the team names, they referred to themselves as their GitHub repositories. And they were like, I don't know how I don't know what our roll-up is. I don't know how they talk about us or when they're referring to us. So what they told me was, you sit in these all-hand meetings where we're talking about strategic initiatives and strategic bets and how the company wants to move forward, and you have no idea how your work ladders up to those KPIs and expectations. That's a problem. That is a missed opportunity. That is us in a box, not recognizing how much value we bring to an organization. And it's not lost on me that some of this could or should have been addressed by the engineering manager that they rolled up to, but they were also a victim of poor onboarding. So in this case, QA was put in a box inside of another box. And they had no idea. They had no idea. The org wasn't reaping the full benefit and value of having quality team members, but also a quality community. Diego talked about that, like bringing us together and how important it is. Quality must have a community within the organization. Cutting the team off from others reduces our ability to deliver. It reduces our opportunities to have significant impact. A culture of quality cannot exist without a quality community that's going to cultivate it. Engineers have engineers have community. We've been on teams that have engineers like 4, 6, 8, 10. I hope no more than 10. I actually have seen teams larger than 10, but they just in their squads have community. But usually there's just one QA person on a team, maybe 2, if it's siloed like that. So the engineers get the benefit of having those turn to your neighbor conversations. They get the benefit of collaborating with somebody. They get the benefit of having somebody to bounce ideas off of or to challenge them. Iron sharpens iron. They have somebody that they can brainstorm with, but when you silo quality and you're not intentional about bringing the community of quality together in an organization, the quality team loses. You miss the opportunity for them to grow with each other. You miss the opportunity for them to share experiences and expand their knowledge and also sharpen iron for others on the team. One team I worked with, we had a QA feature review. We were very intentional about bringing each other together. And every time there was a new feature that was being rolled out for the squad, that QA person was expected to come back into the quality community and present on it. And they were expected to explain the feature. And if they couldn't, iron sharpens iron. That's a problem. But they were also peppered with questions because the other QA team members wanted and needed to understand it. They needed to understand how this feature was going to work and also how it might impact their functional area and what they needed to take back to their team. Quality community is so important, even when there's not a formal QA organization. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities. If we miss the opportunity to connect in with each other, we are going to see poor quality. Again, those quality opportunities are everywhere. I just love this slide. They're everywhere. You just kind of got to be nosy about it and go find them. As quality champions, we have to be open to looking for them and then taking ownership of them. And beyond improving for our own selves, but crossing the aisle to help build models, to build strategies, to unpack ideas that others can benefit from. And that leads us to our next strategy, which is to cross the aisle. Cross the aisle to look for those missed opportunities to improve quality. Create deep partnerships with product and customer experience. We want to ensure that quality is not just considered, but it's embedded in their work, and we can support them in that. We don't want to miss the opportunity to help others to align with quality standards and lead with quality for themselves. And these partnerships can surface in many ways. Is it product documentation, training, application workflows? It can be any of those things. And it doesn't mean that I'm not saying that we are expected to deliver on those, because I hear some of you already, this is very loud, saying, I'm not building documentation, that's not my job. We'll talk about it later. But there are opportunities. It's not that we are expected to deliver on it, but we are the champions of quality. We are the ones that are saying, hey, this is what quality means. We should be communicating that into a business. But if we don't understand the impact of, we do understand the impact of product documentation, whereas others might not. We see it surface. We see it surface in return business requirements, missing acceptance criteria. We see it in the churn of the issues and why they might have surfaced. Oh, well, I see why the developer built it this way, because that requirement said that. Or it wasn't clear, or the requirement was completely empty. But I digress. Why wouldn't we step into an opportunity to champion artifacts like this, like documentation and workflows and customer journeys? Why wouldn't we? We know the benefits of having things like customer journey diagrams and the impact it can have on teams and how it's beneficial, if only for us, for our testing strategy. One of my favorite tools is actually customer journey diagrams. I think they're invaluable in an organization. They can show the flow of the application while peppering in architecture, databases, services. It doesn't have to be everything, but it can be a lot. It's telling a story of the product that everybody can read. And I found these to be a very insightful tool, not only for developing test strategy, but when you're trying to understand the impact of a new feature, when you put a new block in there, what did it break? When you're able to understand new functionality before a line of code is even written. In fact, I've seen developers covet tools like this. Like when I was working at a fintech startup, and they were scaling quickly. And they started to realize that they were having problems because knowledge was kept in certain people's heads. The OGs of the group, I know we've all seen that, right? Where some people just knew everything about the product and you had to go talk to them to understand what you needed to do your job. Well, when this happens, quality is sacrificed. Because what if that person is not available? What if that person doesn't like you? They give you wrong information. That's never happened to me, right? But the only way that they had information, it was all kept in their heads. And at that fintech, as the company scaled, that became harder because the pace of innovation, they were trying to move more quickly. That speed of innovation did not allow them the individuals, whether it was product or developer or quality, to go talk to those people and pick their brains, to ask questions that they didn't even understand or know that they needed to ask, but to work through it. They didn't have time to just sit and brainstorm to get a download from this person, but that's what was happening. And don't get me started about those bad actors that hold this information. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? The toxic ones? No, just me? I wasn't toxic, never. I'm not the problem. But there were toxic people in the organization that held that information, the ones that are like, I've been here forever. You don't know what you're talking about, especially when talking to quality. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't worry about it. I've got it handled. Those people creating the toxic culture, and then you're trying to communicate it to leadership, and leadership's like, well, but we can't lose them. They know so much. They're so valuable. Because everything's packed in their brains, poorly at that. Anyway, I digress. In this case, the product team didn't have time or really honestly understand the value of those customer journey diagrams. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities, so I realized we were missing an opportunity. I realized we were missing an opportunity across the aisle. All right, let's go on over here. I had to cross the aisle to help because it was impacting quality. It was impacting my team's ability to deliver. And I don't like my team to look bad. So if there's something that we can do to make my team look better and you're in the way, I'm gonna cross the aisle and help you. Hey, say hard truths with a smile. What can we do to improve quality? Improve the knowledge of the quality team, elevate the quality team in this conversation. So my solution was I began mapping the application because nobody else was concerned about it. But I was like, hey, we need this. This is going to solve a problem. So I began mapping the application. I started sharing it with my team. They started sharing it in their teams. It started surfacing. People started asking for it more, so I started delivering more of them. And others began to ask for this and, hey, can I have a quick peek at this? Where was this on? You know, where did you have this stored? Because I just want to take a quick look at it. It began to be used in grooming sessions, RCAs, and even more. Product began to use it to shift left for ideation. They were like, hey, what happens if I stick this box here? What's it gonna look like? Can I follow that customer journey? What are some opportunities? In fact, the QA team actually began to run onboarding for developers because of it. I'm just saying, we're cool. We know a lot about the application. We began to run onboarding for the developers when they came in the door. And it wasn't like cheesy onboarding. It wasn't like, oh, here's the application. Don't you see the pretty colors? Because you know sometimes they think that about us. No. Here's the application. Here's a deep dive into the architecture. Here are all of the services that you need to know. Here's how to access them. Here's test data. Hey, these are some things that you're going to be working on in your squad. By the way, here are some customer-facing issues that need to be sorted out. Hey, can you help with this? Stepping out of the test box and crossing the aisle to help others elevate their delivery experience improves quality. It improves quality of the product. It improves quality for our teams. It improves quality for us. Improving quality is not just the test step. When we understand what quality is in our organization, we begin to understand what levers we need to pull to achieve it. Because sometimes it is about pulling levers. Do we want it good, fast, or cheap? It can't be all, and it's not always the same answer. I really do hate that sometimes. Like, you know, leaders are like, oh, well, we need quality efficient and lean, but it needs to be excellent. We should never have any bugs. I'm sorry, you just can't have it all. So where are the trade-offs in the application, in our process, in our strategy? What decisions, what areas of the business, what areas of the product are we gonna make those trade-offs? We are going to have risk. Let's talk about it. And so to do that, you need to define quality. The organization needs to understand what quality is in the they need to understand what quality is in the organization. The team members need to understand what quality is, what bar we've set for ourselves so that they don't miss an opportunity to lead with quality for themselves. So let's talk about my final strategy that I'm going to share, which is defining quality. When we understand the definition of quality, we begin to understand how quality can be improved or is impacted beyond the test column, beyond development. In a Harvard Business Review article, Srinivasan and Curie wrote, one of the defining traits of an organization with a true culture of quality is that employees are free to apply judgment to situations that fall outside of the rules. Oh, but wait. They also added, providing the right level of guidance is key. Guidance, definition. Guidance is defined as to guide as direct or having an influence on the course of action or someone else. That is a definition of quality, to direct them. The definition of quality serves as that direction. Setting those standards, processes, and policies gives guardrails to how, where we want those risks, where we will allow those risks in our product and in our organization. That research also included that they examined tools, training, and best practice sharing, and including monetary incentives, by the way. And they said that only 4 attributes predicted a culture of quality: leadership emphasis, message credibility, peer involvement, and empowered ownership. You know what all those have in common? Clarity, guidance for the definition of quality. Leadership emphasis. Leaders must understand what quality is to therefore emphasize it. This understanding allows them to advocate for quality, which is key. Message credibility. Clarity and consistency makes the message credible. A definition of quality, a clear definition of quality, is only credible when it's consistent, but it first has to be clear. Peer involvement. A clear definition of quality enables peers to understand, take action, and lead with quality. And empowered ownership. A clear definition helps employees understand how it fits into their jobs. One thing that I've always said is, like, we've talked about as an industry, as a community, oh, we need to shift left, we need to shift left, we need to shift left. And everybody says, yeah, let's do that. But they miss the opportunity to hear, or we miss the opportunity to explain how we shift left outside of us. Because it's not just us. Everybody has a role in it. Agile says that everybody's responsible for quality. How? What does that look like? What is the definition of quality? What are the responsibilities? We're the champions. Let's tell them. There are so many missed opportunities in this list. Just got to be open to look for them. When you set the standard for quality, for a culture of quality, you are defining, developing, and driving those expectations, those touch points, those deliverables. You're setting the bar for quality in your organization. And you're empowering others with the information that they need to achieve it. The information they need to own it for themselves, to take action and cultivate that culture of quality. Without a clear definition of quality, the organization misses opportunities to be intentional and strategic about quality. You need intention and strategy to have or produce quality. Instead, when they're not intentional and they're not strategic, they struggle with the balance of innovation and quality. Still, this is a big one. That's the fast pace. Let's keep going. But meanwhile, quality is declining. But why? Where is it? How do we solve that problem? How do we tell people? How do we get them engaged in that conversation? A definition of quality sets the standard of excellence that the organization aspires to achieve and commits to. Without a clear definition, an organization can end up with a poor culture of quality because they haven't made a commitment. They don't understand what the expectation is. They think quality is just not have any incidents or X number of bugs, or did we meet our SLAs? And it's so much more than that. What is it? Let's define that. Poor quality is a succession of missed opportunities, and they are everywhere. Limited quality ownership, inadequate communication and collaboration, insufficient focus on customer needs, poor quality mindset across the organization, inadequate training and onboarding, as we talked about earlier. Missed opportunities for quality are absolutely everywhere. So in conclusion, you guys done with me yet? Okay. It's crucial to challenge ourselves to think beyond the confines of traditional quality assurance roles as we define them today. And consider how we can create a culture of quality across the organization. Identify and claim opportunities. Keep our eyes open for areas of quality can be approved to take action on. Cross the aisle to find new opportunities. It doesn't matter that they're not in testing or even in engineering. Is it impacting quality? Cross the aisle. Help. Define quality clearly. Establish a clear understanding of quality, what quality means in the organization, so that everyone can contribute and lead with quality. By thinking outside of the box, we can redefine the role and value of quality in an organization. We redefine our role and value, not just a cost center. There's so much more opportunity. So we expand our impact beyond that test step, improving the overall quality of our products and services. We need to embrace a broader vision of quality and seize every opportunity to champion it throughout the organization. We have to come together as a community and be champions of quality. I'm going to leave you with one final quote from Stacy Kirk, CEO of Quality Works. And she said, "Now more than ever, it's crucial to build quality-driven teams where each member is considered a champion of both quality and the end user." But we won't achieve that level of greatness until we first acknowledge that we are bigger than the box. Until we first look for those opportunities, those missed opportunities, to lead with quality. My name is Erika Chestnut, and I am a quality champion.